Hey. I needed to do something a little different today. I've been feeling a little lost, a little unsure of what to record, of what to talk about next. And honestly, a lot of that's because life's really hard right now. I have a lot of time to myself, and that means rumination is real. And that means self-talk is really rough. And so it's really easy for me to go into really shitty spaces and talk myself into feeling really small. And so today I finally got the car and I took myself out and I came to one of my favorite places to hike. And I'm remembering now. Not only like why I do this, but just like, okay, I'm here, I'm present, I'm myself. And more or less that's what I wanted to share with you today. Something simple, something easy, something accessible. So often we lose our magic when we forget who we are. When we get so caught up in other people's stuff or what we should do or what we should be doing or what we shouldn't be doing. We lose our magic there. It's very Wheel of Fortune energy, right? You know, the medicine that I was taught of Wheel of Fortune is that if all of life is a wheel, right? There's the center of the wheel, there's the spokes on the outside of the wheel. The more we get pulled by other things out to the edges of the wheel, like being reactive to other people's things, listening to other people a lot, fulfilling expectations of other people before we fulfill ours for ourselves, the more we get pulled to the ends of the wheel. And as that wheel spins, if you're at the edge of the wheel, you're gonna feel every bump, every crack in the sidewalk, you're gonna feel everything. It's gonna hurt. And the Wheel of Fortune asks us to come back to ourselves, to come back to center, whatever that means. Because at the center of the wheel, you don't feel it as much. You don't feel the bumps. You don't feel dragged out and at the behest of life. Very much the difference between like participating in life and then life happening to you instead. I forget that so often, even though I talk about it a lot, that sometimes it just takes something that brings you joy to remind you of like where center is. So often when we think of magic and we think of spell work and we think of what it means to be a witch, it conjures up images of candles and circles and covens, right? And books and learning and, you know, very structured things. But I found so often that the most important magical practice that I've had has been about embodiment. Connecting back to those things that make me feel like me. Even if they're beautifully weird, right? All it takes is for me to be outside for like 2 seconds, really, and see. I love snow, I love winter, I love going hiking when it's cold. I think last year I went hiking when it was -5 out, so I love that. It brings me a lot of joy. And it took all of 5 minutes of walking in the snow for me to actually kind of feel not underneath life, you know, not under the boot of life, so to speak. And so when you feel like you're underneath the boot of life, what are things that light you up, that make you feel like Charlie from It's Always Sunny, you know, with the map? Especially the things that aren't typically depicted in witchcraft, right? Are you someone that gets really into the lore of Lord of the Rings and love talking to people about it? I know someone who feels the most themselves when they're writing D&D campaigns. It feels really like creatively filled that way. I feel really good when I knit, when I'm in any kind of creative space, when I'm drawing poorly in my notebook, when I journal in the morning. All of those things are anchors into what makes me feel very myself. Not from a perspective of like, oh, I am a journaler, I am a hiker. Like, not in terms of like stamping an identity on myself. But each one of those are practices that make me feel really good. And they make me not worry about the future, or they make me not worry about the fall of capitalism. Name anything, right? All of the things that make me feel me connect me back to my soul, and connect me back to like here and now and the present. And so really that's what I just wanted to share today, is if you're kind of going through what I'm going through right now and feeling incredibly disconnected from yourself, from whatever magic is, you know, from feeling alive, from feeling colorful, from feeling vivacious, one place that you can start is to start doing the things that make you just feel good. And, you know, I'm not talking from self-care TM perspective, right? When we talk about self-care, now it conjures up images of like face masks and baths and stuff. When really self-care is what feeds you, both from a soul perspective, an emotional perspective, a creative perspective, a relational perspective, right? And so what if magic was as simple as that? To give yourself what feeds you and to let that be the ritual in itself. It took 5 minutes of me being out here and hearing the melting snow drip on the ground and hearing the snow crunch under my feet. It took 5 minutes for me to feel centered and grounded and ready, right? So I definitely encourage you. What is it that makes you feel really good? Let it get weird. It might be like watching 80s movies with your partner once a week. It might be sewing. It might be writing a D&D campaign. I don't know. It might be like me, and you might feel really seen in video games, and that's a place where you feel at home and you feel like yourself and you feel connected. Let's break open what magic means, because at the end of the day, it's really about connecting to what makes you feel good. I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope everything that we're going through right now, astrologically, like societally, everything, I hope you come out of it feeling like yourself, even if it feels like the ground is really wobbly underneath you, even if you have no idea what tomorrow's gonna bring. I sure as hell don't know. At the end of the day, when I feel really right in here, when I feel really good, when I feel really full, I feel taken care of and protected. And I feel like I'm not drowning. And really, isn't that what we want? That's a good place to start.